She wants two.
Alright guys, Fran's gonna give the toast.
I'm gonna give the toast. First, this is to Evelyn for bringing us all together and remembering such an amazing person. You are like the first person in my life that does this, and I'm very touched and again appreciate it. We all, as much as you love him, we do too. As you know, we're all here. But what I want to say is that Daniel was a very, very special person to all of us. Creative, talented, intelligent, wise. He's greatly missed. Interesting. Most interesting. He's greatly missed, and I wanted to say that he always adored Evelyn, and you always heard it in his voice how much you meant to him. Daniel and I were very close. We spent a lot of time together, and
I always wondered about that.
nothing happened.
He's like, I'm going to meet Fran. I'm like, again? You're busy.
Conversation for another day.
Yes, we
And you
went
have
to
photographs of
Jamaica.
you on the horses?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those
photos.
No, I knew that's what it was when you said it. But,
Yeah, it was a great time. I mean, we had a lot of good times together. But again, for Evelyn to know, and I've said this to you before, but he just adored you, and you always heard it in his voice. You felt it. He was the kind of person where you felt what he was saying. He was genuine. So this is
Don't
to...
drink yet. I know. That's like the worst thing you could hear. Don't drink yet. She has something to say, and I just want to add. There were some people that we met, of course, on one of our many trips that obviously couldn't be here because they're like, in different countries. But here's a couple that I almost forgot to read this. Rich and Betty, we met them in Germany. So she said, so we toured Germany with you two. Turns out we sat in the bus in front of you, and the first morning, we don't know you yet, but I overhear Daniel say, sarcastically and with mirth in his voice, "That's why I'll never marry you." Meanwhile, we were married already for like 10 years. And I whispered to my wife, Betty, "Whoa, something's going on back there." And Betty says, "Count to 10, Rich, he's hosing you." And yep, before the day is over, it's clear that you two are romantically stuck together. That may have been the day I discovered you were part mountain goat. Oh, that was me. I climbed a lot of things. Daniel was a prince. He cared about others. He really cared about you. You obviously were his #1 fan. I'll never forget Nuremberg. Absolutely one of my favorite stops. And there's Daniel helping you, hosting your family connections. And we spot you in the old town square, and he's as chipper as a spouse can be with his Kraut family. Okay, since I'm on a roll now, I'll take you back to our walkabout in Hamburg. We took a lengthy walk to the bombed-out church there, and that's when I first noticed he had a bit of a limp from one of his feet. He hiked through the streets with the rest of us as a real trooper, and I afterward figured that he was your #1 fan. I know about #1 fans. I'm married to that best friend. I'm so sad and I'm still torn by the loss of someone who might have barely touched my life. He was an artist. I made a small donation when one of his friends passed away. That was Doug. He called me. I was touched. What a life we led. We choose to just live in our own little holes, but like Frodo, we need to move about. This one's from Amy. On my first trip out of the country by myself, I was blessed to travel around Italy with an amazing group of people. A few of my travel mates became lifelong friends. Daniel was one of those lifelong friends I will never forget. Not only did he make the Italy trip one I couldn't forget, I made 2 trips to New York, one by myself and one with my new husband, each time getting to meet you and him. But what I most appreciate and miss about Daniel was our chats online. It always seemed like whenever I had a bad day and got on Facebook, Daniel was always online too, probably because he was always online. And would always have some amazing words of encouragement for me about finding love. I couldn't wait for him to meet Robbie, and we still talk about that awesome trip and how in just a few hours he understood why I like Daniel and you so much. My husband said, man, he could be one of the coolest people I've ever met. And Daniel was. He was funny, talented, kind, and had the biggest heart of anyone I know. People travel into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and I'm blessed to say Daniel will always be on my lifetime list. The world became a less beautiful place when he left us, but I'm grateful for the time we had in Italy and New York. And then his friend Alan Chapman. I may have shared this with you before, but it's typical of Daniel. When Daniel and I first met at a job in a printing press, we immediately bonded over our shared interest and love of music. We got to talking about our shared love of artists like Leon Russell and Joe Cocker, and I mentioned that I was a huge Black Crowes fan and that they were on their last tour. We were wondering what became of, they had a giant mural of Leon Russell as their backdrop for a portion of the show. We were wondering what became of it after the tour. He glibly said that he would call the Crowes management company and find out. I tossed it off as a mere half-hearted endeavor. When he approached me a few days later and told me that he had talked to management and that they were working on it, that he was actually serious about purchasing it from them, it stopped me in my tracks. His attitude was, why not? For all his efforts, he never was able to make the purchase, but his relentless, anything is possible attitude struck me and set him apart from the others. He brought that approach to every shared music endeavor we were involved in, from recording dates to live performances to special events. It's an attribute I always admired and appreciated about him. And then, geez.
What I have to say is really quick so you don't have your toast to
No,
Daniel.
they're all like smelling your
I know. It's really simple. A wise rabbi once said, we die twice. We die the day that our physical body leaves the planet, and the second time we die is when nobody remembers us anymore. So Daniel will never die a second death because he will be forever and lovingly and wonderfully remembered by so many people whose lives he's touched, myself included, everybody in this room, the people on the other phone, and countless others. So here's to Daniel being remembered forever.
Cheers,
And those that want to be like him and have another shot, help yourself.
It's very lemony. Very lemony. Do you remember he was at the casino next?
Hi. How you doing? My throat's a little
Sorry.
it's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. You drink that whole thing?